Welcome to the Creation Liberty Evangelism chat group. Today is January 7th, 2017, and I am Tanya Johnson from Indiana, along with Chris from Indiana, Australia, John from Iowa, and Joshua from California. Welcome, everyone. These are all members of our church group. But anyone can listen on the YouTube channel and join in with us. You won't be able to talk live, but you can definitely join in and leave your comments and questions. Tonight's subject is pharmaceutical drugs, part 2. And we will be talking about dangerous chemicals inside pharmaceutical drugs. So with that, I want to give you all a list of the top 11 dangerous pharmaceutical drugs. Number 1 most dangerous pharmaceutical drug is steroids. Prednisone, cortisone, you name it, they are very, very dangerous. Number 2 is chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is the second most dangerous drug they can put you on. Number 3, blood thinners. Coumadin is the most popular, and basically all it is rat poison. You could go to the grocery store and buy rat poison and take it, and it would be the same thing. Number 4, cholesterol drugs, especially statins. Number 5, Prozac. Number 6, ADHD drugs, including Adderall and Ritalin, very dangerous. Number 7, diuretics. These are water pills, very dangerous for you. Number 8, diabetes drugs, insulin, very dangerous for the body. Number 9, arthritis drugs. Number 10, cold and flu medications. And number 11 is beta blockers. So I would like everyone to chime in with your questions, and let's get the discussion going. Did you know that more than 1/3 of the drugs prescribed commonly contain fluoride? Fluoride is one of the most dangerous chemicals that they use in our pharmaceuticals. Fluoride was actually started by, I believe, the Rockefellers, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. They were like, what do we do with all this toxic waste? We have all this fluoride sodium sitting around. What do we do with it? And they were like, let's tell people it's good for their teeth and bones and put it in our drinking water and our toothpaste and get people to use it. And they have made billions of dollars off of doing that to us. So it's definitely something I would not recommend for you. If you do choose to take some kind of pharmaceutical drug, check carefully. Make sure it is fluoride-free. Your bones and teeth definitely do not need fluoride. A lot of our pill coatings contain plastics, even BPA. I know there's been this big movement to get rid of BPA. However, it still is present in a lot of plastic pill coatings. Alka-Seltzer contains a chemical, and you'll forgive me if I do not pronounce this right. It's phenylpropanolamine, PPA for short, and it causes stroke and brain hemorrhaging. And it is also found in many appetite suppressants. So PPA is something to watch out for. You also need to watch out for allergy meds, over-the-counter flu medication, Dimetapp, medications, the Robitussin medications, most generic cold and flu medications all contain TPA, which causes stroke and hemorrhaging. So, does anyone have any questions about that?
I know a lot of the time release pills also contain plastic, or the medicines are in a plastic matrix, which is what gives them their time release properties.
Sure, you're absolutely right. I think that they think that's going to delay it enough. Actually, just a vegetable capsule. They make them, they feel like plastic, but they're not. They're vegetable capsules. It'll do the same thing. There's really no reason to have plastic.
I think their reasoning is the I'm not sure, but I think the reasoning is the as the medicine leaks out, the body will just get rid of the plastic without having it harm you. But, you know, of course, the chemicals are going to leak out too.
Yes, I mean, if you're going to ingest plastic, some of it does leave the body, but some of it can cause some really major problems, such as a bowel perforation. I mean, I personally would not want to take a drug that could cause my bowels to perforate because there's plastic in it. So also one of the things that I've noticed is this TPA. I didn't know a lot about it when I started looking into dangerous chemicals that are in our drugs currently, because I wanted to do a little research and find out what the major problems are, and this TPA kept turning up. And the big, I mean, it does cause other problems besides brain bleed, stroke, that kind of thing. It does cause other problems, apparently. They're just not as common. Like one of the uncommon things is a heart attack. It can cause you to have pulmonary failure. Well, pulmonary failure is not breathing. I mean, it sounds a lot like death to me. I don't know about anybody else, but I really don't want to take these drugs because of that type of thing being in them. I mean, it's funny because I showed you all the last time we had one of these discussions that, you know, I had the physician's death reference and I would look up the different drugs. And the funny thing is it really doesn't tell you what's in the drug. And that's because they have been patented by the companies that make them, and they don't have to reveal what is in them. That infuriates me. That just makes me very, very angry. And this is why I have personal friends that owned and operated a nutrition company. And the government came in, FDA and then the FTC, they came in, they totally shut them down. The husband in jail for 2 years, arrest, but they were silent. Are not allowed to have, well, he cannot have anything else to do, any kind of natural supplements. He can't work in that field, nothing. He is a homeopathic practitioner. I mean, the damage has been done. They owe millions of dollars in court fees, and for the rest of their lives, the government will take every dime they have. Probably when they die, the government will swoop in and probably take everything they have. It's all because their own medicines and put these dangerous chemicals in the medications, try to tell us to take without listing the ingredients. The company I just told you about, the couple that ran it, ingredients listed on the bottle. They even went as far as to do studies and could show what, how their supplements worked in the body and how well they healed. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter because the government couldn't put a patent on it. And I mean, they had testimony about how they were able to cure people of cancer, how they were able to cure people of diabetes, how they were able to cure all these different illnesses, and they couldn't do anything. I mean, their supplements are just sitting in a warehouse. They can go in and use them themselves, but they can't give them to anybody. They can't sell them anymore. They can't even give them away. They are not, because they're dangerous drugs, according to the FDA and the FTC. I am disgusted. I am totally disgusted. I don't know about any of the rest of you, but I am angry, and I just want nothing to do with this stupid government. And I know that sounds really silly to say, but it's the nicest way I can say it right now. There's a lot of things I could say, but they would not be nice. So what are your thoughts?
I think that's ridiculous too. But it's not that the government can't patent them, it's that the big pharmaceutical companies can't patent them, and the pharmaceutical companies are the people lobbying and funding the government.
You're absolutely right, Jeannie. Absolutely right. They can't allow these natural things. Well, and it goes even deeper than that, because if the pharmaceutical companies put out something natural that was actually curing people, that was safe to take, then what would happen is they would lose their customers, because people would be well instead of staying sick because they're putting PPA and fluoride in all of their drugs, and people can't think for themselves, and they're having aneurysms or heart attacks, and sorry, it just makes me so angry. I can't even think straight. So anyway, they wouldn't continue having their heart attacks. They wouldn't continue being able to think for themselves, which I see happening all the time. I see these people, oh, I'll just take the drug from the doctor. It works faster. What? Are you kidding me? It works faster? That's what you're concerned about? I would be concerned about it being permanent. I want to get well. I don't want to mask the symptoms. Anyone else?
Well, the Bible says, for the love of money is the root of all evil. So I'm sure that there's a lot of money behind this.
This is
Joshua. That's exactly right. It is follow the money, honey, is what they say.
This is on the little topic about them not being able to patent stuff with the natural supplements or whatever. I heard that medical marijuana and stuff, the reason why it's not legal is because they're not able to patent it. I don't know if that's the case or not, but that's something that I've heard.
I think you're right on, John, because I personally know someone that has used CBD oil, and in case you don't know what CBD oil is, that is cannabinoid oil, which is made from cannabis. And she also lives in a state where medical marijuana is legal, and so she was able to smoke it, and she has almost completely reversed her seizures. with it. And she is getting ready to get her driver's license for the first time. So I agree with you. I think the reason that people can't get access is because they can't patent it. The problem is the pharmaceutical companies are coming up with their own poisoned versions of marijuana, so that the people that have access to medical marijuana actually will get this poisoned version that their insurance will cover. It's all a big money game, like Joshua was talking about.
What was item number 6 on your list?
ADHD drugs.
I think I know somebody who takes that. And I could show them this video if you wanted to say something.
The ADHD drugs, one of the main ingredients is fluoride. People don't understand that they're giving their kids fluoride. What it's going to do to their brains.
Thank you for that. I think they'll listen to you, but I'll definitely show them.
I can only hope they will listen. I have another friend currently that her son's been on Adderall, which is basically methamphetamine. That's what Adderall is made out of. It's a legal form of meth. And he's been on it since he was like 5 or 6 years old, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm sitting here thinking, oh my word, this young man's brain is completely rotted out. Well, he also is a juvenile diabetic. And so he's got the insulin going, he's got the methamphetamines going, and they don't realize, or at least if they do realize it, they are willingly ignorant, as the Bible says. They are totally ignoring anybody who says, hey, this is dangerous. You need to find another way. She's like, oh, it helps him work better in school. And his insulin helps keep his blood sugar under control. It's all okay. And I'm just like, really? I would rather deal with the high blood sugar and then give a child insulin, or deal with some hyperactivity than give the child meth. That just, it's not a good idea. And I hope that your friend will listen, Joshua. It's becoming an epidemic. It really, truly is.
Yeah, I have experience with the ADHD drugs. I've been on Adderall before, not for the attention deficit disorder, but I have narcolepsy, and I've been off it for a while now. But I've and it was I was on it before, because it was another medication that I was on was producing a lot more. It was exaggerating my narcolepsy, and it just made that worse. So they had to cover their tails and put me on that. But then that was all when I was ignorant about all the ingredients and stuff in it. But then once I learned about all that stuff, I got off of that right away.
Yeah, and unfortunately, whatever they were giving you for narcolepsy probably caused more narcolepsy than it helped. So unfortunately, that's par for the course. But basically what they were giving you when they give you Adderall is methamphetamine. You could have cooked it in your kitchen and saved a lot of money. Just kidding.
And I'm actually able to function a lot better now since I've been off of all the medications and just been on some natural stuff. It's unbelievable difference. Because I actually got off of it cold turkey. I just stopped taking it. I wasn't on it for too long, but that's probably why I could do it. But I just, for like about 3 or 4 days, I woke up extremely tired. Just terrible. But no, I'm really thankful I'm not on that anymore, or any medications like that for that matter.
I'm glad for you, John. I hate to see anybody taking something that, and I mean, honestly, I'm going to tell you, I admire you for stopping cold turkey. Most people who get on meth for any length of time, they have a hard time stopping. It's just not possible because it's addictive. It really, truly is addictive. And I think that's, I mean, my friend that I was telling you about, I think that's why they won't stop it, is because he's now 17, almost 18 years old. He might have just turned 18. And he's been on it for 12 years, maybe longer. And he's hooked. He's hooked. He will have to take that for the rest of his life unless he wises up and realizes he needs to get clean, because that's essentially what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to get clean. He's not going to be able to just stop it on his own. And wow, I can't even imagine. I just can't even imagine. So I'm glad you were able to stop like you did.
No, and it scared me just when I realized what was in it and what I'm taking. And then while on it, just praying and reading the Bible, I was like, what is this doing to me on a spiritual level? And it just really, really scared me. And that's where I got all my motivation to get off of it.
How did you get your parents' support, or was that not an issue?
That wasn't an issue. I've been, I was talking to them about it over a course of time, and they knew some stuff about it too, and wasn't really an issue for me.
I'm wondering what everybody thinks about the spiritual issue of taking pharmaceutical drugs. I personally feel like that since God did not make it, that we should not take it. And I know that rhymes, and you can laugh at me if you want, but you know, I say that a lot. If God did not make it, we should not take it. And I'm wondering what all of your thoughts are.
Well, I have to say that I agree with you. But on the other hand, sometimes it's really hard not to reach for something when you're in pain.
Pain's the worst, isn't it? I mean, really,
No,
it's
like,
it's
yeah,
the
I
most
get
challenging.
Sumatriptan helps them, and you know, if I don't take it, sometimes I will just literally be heaving my guts out for days, and just, you know, I don't know. You know, if I can't function because of the pain, and there's something that I can take that'll relieve it.
I've heard of this natural supplement. I think it's called Curamin or something. That's supposed to help with pain. I think that's what it's called. I could be wrong on that.
Well, I know there are a lot of things, and I have tried so many different things to prevent migraines, from magnesium, potassium, eating bananas, but sometimes when they come on and just will not go away, and I can't function because of it, it's really hard not, and I have something that I know that will relieve it. It's really hard not to do it.
I can understand that. Jeannie, I want you to, after this discussion is over or tomorrow sometime, please send me a private message or Skype me or something. I have a suggestion you might be able to get access to. But we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I agree with all of you. Pain is the worst. Don't get me wrong. I have told my clients personally many times, if you have a real emergency, go to an emergency room because they can save your life. And then you can pick up the pieces later. You know, if the pain is severe and you need medical intervention, then you should really not hesitate to get it. However, they will try to get you on something chronic while they have you because that's how they make their money. Because the more doctors that prescribe certain medications, the more people that buy it, then the more people that buy it, the pharmaceutical companies give a kickback to the hospitals and the doctors, and it just goes on and on and on and on. So you want to be very careful with anything for pain, because pain tends to be chronic until we find the baseline cause of the pain.
Speaking on the spiritual level, correct me if I'm wrong, but couldn't somebody take so many drugs that they become brain dead? And if this person isn't saved, they're never going to be able to find the Lord. Their heart's still beating, but their brain is dead, and they'll never be saved. They're lost. Is that possible, you think?
That's a really good point. I think you're right. Go ahead, John.
No, I was just agreeing with that because I have had family members that have personal testimonies of seeing friends that just gone over the deep end on using drugs, and then they just totally lost it. They couldn't really even describe how they weren't the same. Yeah. So I totally agree with that.
Well, and how many drugs cause people to have disabilities? I was reading a book, and one of the people they were talking about tried experimenting with certain drugs like LSD, and she was never the same again. She ended up just emotionally and mentally disabled, and she couldn't function in the real world. And so her family had to put her in a special facility where people would check on her and help her function in the real world because she couldn't do it, all thanks to a drug. Now, of course, that was illegal drugs, but it's all the same thing. Pharmacopoeia is witchcraft. Doesn't the Bible tell us we need to abstain from all things involving witchcraft? I mean, it's paganism. So, you know, the Lord tells us not to do things as the pagans do them.
I've seen a article on Reddit one time. People, they would in order to stay high all the time, they would cut a hole inside their skull, and it's really weird, but they would do it at a certain angle, at a certain spot on their head, and it'd have to be so deep that for the remainder of their life, I guess, they would be high all the time.
I don't know about anybody else, but that's not something I would want done, and I can't even imagine the pain of doing that.
No, the people, they're just so desperate to get high. I seen one that they did it themselves, or at least attempted to. It's just, it's really sad to see that kind of stuff.
I think you would almost have to be high to do that to yourself. It just doesn't make any sense. These people are chasing things that are not of God, and all I can do is shake my head. I'm sorry. I know this is a discussion, but all I can do is shake my head. It's just sad and wrong.
Well, I think you would have to be high to do that kind of stuff. Just be totally clueless and think of all the effects that has on your life. And
it's just, it just saddens me. People don't look beyond the doctor's prescription pad. They write a prescription and give it to the patient, and the patient says, okay, my doctor said this, so I'm going to take it. You know, and we've talked about in other discussions and in Bible study how we cannot be respecters of persons. How is taking whatever your doctor tells you to take not respecting persons? Because it is, you know. I mean, yeah, I can kind of admire the effort it took to get their degree and to get all that education behind them. But was it really worth it? They're killing people. So how is it worth it? It just makes me sad. It really does. It makes me terribly sad. And how many of those drugs have fluoride in them and they're not telling us? How many of those drugs contain PPA and they're not telling us? That's one of the things I really am concerned about. I've been looking at Imitrex for a client because she takes Imitrex right whenever she has even the hint of a migraine. And PPA is one of the drugs that may possibly be in it. Now, I can't prove that it's in it. I haven't been able to find solid evidence that's in there, but it looks like it might be. And the reason that PPA is so dangerous is the same reason they put it in the Imitrex, because it works on the vascular system in the brain.
Now, the Imitrex, the sumatriptan I was telling you about, that's the chemical name for Imitrex. That's the stuff that I take for my migraines.
All I can say, Jeannie, is ultimately it is your decision. It's your choice. I can't tell you what to take. I've been fortunate enough not to get migraines, and I'm grateful for that. But I would just be very, very careful because, like I said, these pharmaceutical companies don't have to tell you what chemicals they put in your drugs. They can make whatever concoction they want. They can claim that they've tested it when they haven't. And it may contain PPA. And so then you're looking at a possible stroke. You're looking at a possible heart attack. You're looking at brain hemorrhaging. It's just not... I know I personally would not want to take it even if I did get migraines. I personally would not want to be taking that. I would be finding the cause and fixing it naturally. And that's easier said than done.
My bad. I actually messed up after looking it up. My friend is actually on something called HGH, and it's a growth hormone. That one?
I know a lot of the hormones are made from the urine of different animals. That's, again, something I personally would not want to take, especially if those animals have been farmed and raised and vaccinated and given antibiotics. Do you see where I'm going with this? It just kind of goes on and on and on full circle, because then when you're taking in those hormones, they come out in your own urine. They go into the groundwater, and it just becomes this big, big circle. So much of the, so much of the hormones are like that. I mean, they use horse urine. They use ox urine sometimes. It just depends on what hormone they're trying to make. HGH is very familiar to me, but I can't remember why, so you'll forgive me. I know that I have taken synthetic hormones myself, and I wish I had never done it because my hormones were already a mess before that, thanks to the chemically laden food that was in my environment when I was growing up. Wow. My ultimate point is that becomes a big cycle, you know, and a lot of times the hormones are not really doing anybody any good. They go into the body might not recognize them, and it just goes right out of the body again. They're just literally wasting their money in some cases. That's not all cases. But I still would not want a chemical hormone in my body. That wouldn't make me very happy. One of the options that I learned about years ago, because just very briefly, I've had a full hysterectomy. It was done over 2 surgeries. The second surgery, they found out that it was ovarian cancer, and that's all been taken care of naturally. But one of the things I discovered is that I couldn't get rid of my hot flashes completely. And so one of the things I started looking into was DHEA, because that is a precursor for a hormone my body makes naturally anyway, and that's estrogen. So my body takes in the DHEA, it makes its own estrogen, and any of the leftover leaves my body because it's all natural. So just a thought for your friend, not that I'm recommending DHEA necessarily, you would have to figure out what hormones are necessary and take those precursors, because they do make natural precursors.
Thank you for that. I will definitely show them this video and what you said. So thank you very much for that.
Not a problem. Like I said, I've been, I think I told you guys, I've been doing this for over 10 years. I became a homeopathic practitioner at first. Because of my vision problems, I am really no longer able to practice homeopathy. And I had changed my practices so much because of all the witchcraft that's connected with homeopathy. And I didn't want anything to do with that. But during that time, I learned a lot about natural supplements, and I became a natural supplement consultant. So I've learned how a lot of these different things work, and some of the information can be pretty useful. I don't charge for my consultations for supplements, and the supplements are kind of up to you. You know, you can purchase through me, or you can purchase yourself. So if you ever need any information on where to find supplements necessary for your friend, for yourself, you know, any of you, private message, or, you know, a private message over Skype, whatever, I'll be happy to direct you to the correct website for what you need.
Thank you. I will definitely keep that in mind, and I'll make a note of that. Thank you.
Great. Does anybody have any questions?
I know something you were talking about with the hormones, and I remember there being something a while back, and I can't think of it. I know it started with a P, and it's something that's sometimes found in wild yams that people use. It's another precursor to hormones, and I just can't think of the name of it right now.
Pregnenolone. It's the precursor for progesterone.
Yeah, that's it.
I probably should mention here, especially, I know all of you know this, but for anybody who might be listening over YouTube, I do want to point out that my business is not associated with Creation Liberty Evangelism. I do this totally on my own to support myself and my children. So I just want to get that out there. But yeah, pregnenolone, Jeannie, is the one that is the precursor for progesterone. I think there may be one for testosterone too, but I can't remember what it is right off the top of my head. Does that answer your question okay?
Yes, thanks.
Not a problem.
You know, I have a question on allergy medication over the counter, because I have a family member that will take Benadryl, and I know it's a really not safe to take, but I was wondering what if you have any information on that, and maybe some alternatives instead of taking those kind of antihistamines.
Well, one of the things that you will find when you wean off of an allergy medication is that your sinuses get really stuffy. And there are several reasons for that. First of all, the allergy medicine tries to, and I say tries to because I will get to this kind of, it tries to stop the inflammation in the sinuses. A lot of people are allergic to stuff in their environment. I am included in that. I am allergic to several things in my environment. I have been working on for a couple of years now, boosting my immune system. I have family members who have dogs, and I would like to be around the dogs a little more. I'm starting to really enjoy the animals that we have here. So I've been working on my immune system. One of the things I noticed when I stopped my allergy medication is that immediately I couldn't breathe through my nose. Turmeric is a great product for reducing inflammation, and it will not be that, you know how when you take an anti-inflammatory from a pharmaceutical company, and then when it wears off, the inflammation comes back, and so it's a big circle, you have to keep taking it because the inflammation comes back. Turmeric is better because it doesn't cause that reuptake in the inflammation. It gets to the cause of the inflammation. So turmeric would be something I would recommend as you are weaning off. I do not recommend stopping any allergy medicine, any medication cold turkey. And it has to be your decision. I cannot say, yes, definitely stop this medication. It has to be your choice. There are some other things I can recommend. However, one of the companies that I work with has been in trouble with the FDA. And so I really cannot, in a public setting like this, tell you to use this product. I would be more than happy to recommend a generalized product. One of the things I would recommend is that you boost the immune system using, how do I say this? Try apple cider vinegar is a great one inside the body, and you need to rebalance the gut. All medications destroy the bacteria that naturally should be lining your gut. And not just antibiotics. I am talking any drug will cause that. So I don't like to say probiotic, but that's the safest word I can use right now. So a probiotic would be a great idea, and that helps boost the immune system and helps reverse allergies. So that's something I would recommend. To boost sinus health, I like lavender oil. I can't tell you what company to use, but lavender oil is great for that. A natural way to drain your sinuses, if they really do get stuffed up with, you know, different things from your environment, and you have a lot of mucus buildup, fenugreek is a great herb to help drain your sinuses. But you must, with each fenugreek pill, if you decide to take the pill, get them from a natural source. When you take them, you must drink 8 ounces of water with each pill. So if you decide to take 2, you need 16 ounces of water. That water will help flush the system, and that's what it's going to do. It's going to help drain all that out of your sinuses. I know that other people like milk thistle or nettles, and I can't say I have a lot of experience with nettles, but milk thistle was pretty good. I've used that before. So just a few things you can try if you decide you want to do that. But again, I can't tell you to stop your allergy medication, okay? That's something that has to be your choice. And, you know, if you feel like you need to talk to your doctor, then do so. I can tell you what they're going to say. So I hope that answers your question.
Yep, it does.
Good, good. So is there anything else I can answer for you? Because, I mean, we just talked about the allergy medication, that there might be PPA in it. You know, we've talked about the Imitrex, which also may contain PPA. Anything that's going to affect your brain. So if it's going to make you sleep, if it's going to relieve pain, if it's going to do anything like that, it may have PPA in it, and you need to be careful because of your vascular health. It can cause all kinds of cardiovascular problems. And the last thing I want to see is for somebody to come see me after they've had problems and not know how to fix it, because, you know, I really can't fix a problem once it's started. I can tell you how to prevent it. And, you know, there have been times I've been able to help people, and it's great, but, you know, not always. Not always. Once there's, you know, a problem, sometimes it's irreparable, and I just have to help them live a better life. That's all I can do for them. So is there anything else that we would like to talk about along these lines this evening?
You know, this is more of just a comment, but ever since I have gotten off of all of my medications, I don't remember the last time I've had to go to the doctor. I do remember when I was on medications, I went to the doctor maybe once or twice every 2 weeks, but now I don't remember the last time I've been to the doctor, just because I haven't had any need to do it.
Absolutely. And that was the thing I found too, because I was on all the asthma medications and I had tried all these different ones for asthma. And once I got off the medications and I knew what to use naturally, I never had to go back. I've had very few attacks. I've had maybe one a year since I got off of all the medications. So I think you're absolutely right. I think once you figure out, what, that you need to stop taking a drug and you make the decision to do it, and then you wean off and you find your body's much healthier than it was when you went on the drug.
And a lot of the times is I've been learning a lot about what to take. Just say if I have a cold or something like that, I don't need to go to the doctor and see what I need to do. I have a lot of that information available where you know what to do. So I mean, it's not necessary, and it usually fixes it, no problem.
Yeah. One of the neat stories that came out, I told you about my friend that had the health company that went to prison for 2 years. One of the things he was telling us, he sent us all a letter, and it was like a general letter he sent to his wife, and she posted it for him, email, and we all got to read it. At night in the prison, at 9 o'clock every night, they would make an announcement that pharmaceutical drugs for anybody who wanted them, you just had to indicate that go get in line. And there was some kind of illness going around the prison. So he took his commissary money and he went in, and one of the few things they're allowed to buy there, and he said the commissary at the prison is another whole government racket. So much money, and they overcharge for everything. What he did is he went in and he found one of the things they were allowed to buy were spices, onion and garlic on everything. Food, he put it in his water, he drank it, he ate it, as much of it as he could get into his system, and he never once got sick. Amazing. But at the same time, it makes perfect sense. If you are taking in these healthy herbs or roots, which that's all those spices really were. They were roots, and they had been dried and that kind of thing done to them and put in a little bottle. But he bought all he could afford and just used it constantly, and it worked. It worked very well for him, and he never once got sick the entire time he was there. Any other questions? Because we are just about to wrap up our hour. So I want to answer questions if I can. And again, if you need to talk to me, please do not email Creation Liberty Evangelism, because they cannot necessarily help you. I mean, they might know what to tell you, but my business is separate from them. So if you do have questions about what supplements you might take, please contact me directly, not Creation Liberty Evangelism. Thank you so much.
But you need to give them a way to do that. Like, for example, don't email me if you're wanting to get in contact with Tanya. I've had people before email me wanting to get in contact with other people involved in these discussions. I am not going to be a communication triangle between, you and somebody else. We have a forum on our website. You go to creationliberty.com. You click on, there's a little button on the left-hand side that says forum. You click on that, and we have discussions about all sorts of stuff. You can actually post comments and read comments on even these videos on that area of our website. So go there if you want to talk to some of the people, because everybody that's involved in these discussions that we have here are also on the forum. So that's the place you want to go if you want to get those details. And then Tanya can give you other ones if she wants to.
And if we wanted to contact Tanya, how would we do that? Would we go to the forum and then go to your profile on the forum?
Yes, I can be reached through the Creation Liberty Forum. I can also be reached on Facebook. I have a Google Plus account, and I have a Twitter account. So any of those would be perfectly fine for trying to reach me. Again, my name is Tanya Johnson. So those out there who may be watching on YouTube, Tanya Johnson, you can find me there.
Also, John, since you're part of our Bible study group, you have Tanya's Skype details. All you have to do is send her a contact request.
Wrong person. That was Joshua who was wondering that.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay, well, I think we're going to wrap this up for tonight. Thank you all for coming and discussing pharmaceutical drugs with us. I think this is our final one, so part 1 and 2, and that's all we've had. So hopefully we'll have some great discussions on other subjects coming up pretty soon. And are there any more questions before we end this evening?
This one's a little off topic, but I was wondering if anybody can be sick from genetics, like I have cancer because it runs in my family, or I'm obese, or I'm way overweight because everybody in my family's overweight. It just runs in my family to be overweight. Or is it always about diet and health and nutrition?
The answer to your question is yes. But seriously, on a more serious note here, yes, genetics play a part, but you absolutely can get around genetics by using natural things. I will use myself as an example because I don't want to embarrass people, but diabetes runs in our family very heavily. A couple of years ago, I had blood sugar readings running from 250 to 317. And those were fasting blood sugars, which is pretty dangerous. I began immediately, I ordered what I knew I needed to combat the high blood sugar. And I began to do research after research after research. I immediately started taking certain supplements, and my sugar came down within days of taking the supplements. Of course, the doctors were like, that's impossible. There's no way you could get those numbers down like that, blah, blah, blah. But I did. I know of another gentleman who he has inherited some kind of genetic thing where he just has no metabolism. And he just literally does nothing about it. I mean, he does walk and he tries to eat healthy, but, you know, if he would take time to maybe fast, you know, if you're not eating, you will lose weight. That's all there is to it. You're going to lose weight if you're not eating. So the answer to your question is literally yes. There are illnesses that are caused genetically, but it's all about quality of life. What kind of quality of life do you want? If you're going to take a pharmaceutical, what kind of quality of life are you going to get when you take too much PPA and you have a brain bleed? What kind of quality of life are you going to take or get when you take something like Adderall and, you know, you end up in, you know, addicted to meth, because that's essentially what it is. You're addicted to meth. But there's a whole other way to look at it. What kind of quality of life are you going to have if you are diagnosed with cancer, but you treat it with apricot seeds? You know, not, maybe you get well, maybe it's God's will for you to die. I don't know. But you're going to have a much better quality of life if you do apricot seeds instead of chemotherapy. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. You're very good. Thank you. Nice and clear. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions before we end for the evening? Okay, well, thank you all who have watched us on YouTube or have participated in the discussion today. Your questions were wonderful, and I'm so very pleased with all of you coming and asking great questions and making wonderful comments. So again, this is the Creation Liberty Discussion Group, and I hope you enjoyed watching our discussion this evening. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me personally. Do not email Chris, and do not contact Creation Liberty Evangelism. That's all for this evening. Thank you very much. Good night.